The following video is a very practical session that you can follow along for your hip issues while squatting. So if you're limited in hip flexion and hip extension, this video will take you through a practical session of one of the ways that we really like to address this. Now there's some testing and retesting scenarios in this video, so it'll give you a reasonably objective way of looking at how your hip flexion and hip extension is going. You can follow along with this. There is many ways we could address these issues, but this is some of the most direct ways that we find useful. We'll cover other ways in the future that we find to be very effective for this. Now there's other areas of your squat that might be causing an issue, but if you're a high bar squatter, you're an athlete, you're a low bar squatter, this will benefit you a lot, especially those athletes with that limited hip flexion. And a lot of our weightlifters and powerlifters will be missing a lot of hip extension. And if you work through this, I bet you'll feel a little bit better. Give this a couple of sessions and I bet you'll feel a lot better. So give it a go, try it out, let me know in the comments. You can follow along before your training session, so it's pretty can-do session. So throw on your earphones if you're doing this before your session and have a listen and have a look every so often at what you're trying to cover. So we're going to start with some lower body mobility, and we're going to do a little bit of testing that you can do yourself. Now, testing is interesting when it comes to, depending on what clinician you ask, like, is it a chiropractor? Is it a physiotherapist? Is it a neuromuscular therapist? Is it an osteopath? They will all have their own opinions. These are just the tests that we find the most straightforward, the most repeatable, and the easiest to do for someone by themselves, or you have to look at someone. So the argument of testing may change, but this is what we find useful, and we're just looking for something that you can show a change, that we can see progress or see a difference from side to side. So we don't need to get too nitty gritty. So we're looking at lower body. We have a couple of areas we need to break it down. So we have hip extension, which is knee behind our hips, hip flexion, which is knee to our chest. Then we have internal rotation, which is our ability to rotate our knee inwards and our foot outwards. And we have the opposite. We have external rotation, and then we have basically ankle mobility or dorsiflexion, so ability for our toe to go this way or our toe to come towards our shin, but when we're dorsiflexion, it's knee over toe. So big areas that we're looking at for athletes, these are the big things. This is probably some of the most useful stuff that might come of this for you guys when you're dealing with athletes in the class or your customers. Gen Pop mobility is generally probably very poor. If they come from endurance sports, it's going to be really poor. Like a lot of times, if we get older people, again, like Dara said, 35 plus masters athletes, I don't know, who haven't done much before, they've never trained, they didn't do gymnastics when they're younger, they didn't do martial arts when they're younger, and then things are really rigid. So the big thing about mobility is it's a skill like anything else that needs to be maintained and improved upon. Your mobility is like your strength, your endurance, cardiovascular, high intensity cardio, your speed. If you don't train it, it'll deteriorate. The better you are at it, the more it will stay, but it needs to be maintained. So a lot of times we'll see people be like, I did one foam rolling session and I was still tight next week. And you're like, of course, because we keep need to do it. So the problem is if you keep training, you're going to keep putting that stimulus that's causing you to be tight there. It will get better and new things will show up, but free range of motion is incredibly useful for reduction in pain, freedom of movement. The more movement you have available to you, the better your technique has the potential to be, the more range of motion you have. So we're going to start off, we're going to go groups of 3. We're going to start with the testing, so you're just going to watch me for a second. I'll take you through each one of them. There's other ways of doing these tests. There might be better ways, there might be more accurate clinical ways, but these are the most foolproof ways we have found. And again, it doesn't have to be the most accurate, it just needs to be a visual way of that athlete for seeing what's changing and you having a look of the difference. So we're going to start with hip extension. So we're going to lie down on the floor, and when you're watching your body, all we're going to do is keeping our leg pretty straight. We're just going to raise up our hip. So we're just getting that knee behind, so we're not curling the hamstring, we're just raising it up and seeing. Then we're going to compare it to the other side. Is it way more? Does it look different for me? Does it? Yeah? Is it much different from side to side? So if I go, so we're not trying to cheat the test either, we're trying to be honest with these tests. So we raise it up. So is that the better side?
Yeah.
And is this side much tighter?
Looks like it.
Yeah? No, I'm not cheating, I'm not messing. Is it actually tighter, do you think?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's our hip extension. Then we're going to go through some stuff to work on. Let's do hip extension and hip flexion at the same time. And so from here, we're just lying down and trying to bring that knee to the chest. And we're seeing, that's one of them. And then we're doing the other one. Does it look different? What looks different? What's the difference? Looks better? Yeah, so my right hip is tighter. My right hip extension is a little bit worse. Something I need to work on. That's something I'll always be working on. So really basic, just visual. We don't need to be getting out a protractor and checking half a degree of difference. If it's big enough to see, it's probably big enough to be an issue to fix. So we'll pair up into trees. Let's have a quick look, take note, and then we'll go through some of the fixes for that. Okay. I see a difference here a little bit. Now, it is important to note there might be no difference. It might be very good. It could be good, so it's a test. No, you can let it come up a little bit, but don't turn it into a scorpion. So just be reasonable with it. So she'll probably feel her glutes or her lower back tighten up before you get there. Lift it up more, as high as you can get. Okay, without rotating it. So we want to keep that foot pretty straight. So don't let this rotate outward. So try and keep that pretty straight. So if you rotate it up. Okay, so I think she's got pretty good hip extension. Can you do the left side again? I think she's compensating a little bit the left side, so I think the left side is probably a bit tighter. So sometimes, instead of a difference in height, we might see a change in rotation. Yeah, so compensation that way. So we do hip flexion now. So we'll try to keep the opposite leg on the ground and just bring that knee up to your chest. Okay, nice, that's pretty good. Okay. So generally with female athletes, you'll see hip flexion is usually pretty good, a lot more room in the hips. Usually hip extension can be hit or miss, same as male population, but usually female athletes, you'll see a lot more range of motion than men, usually. So what we're seeing, left side looks to be a little bit tighter, and we'll see some of the changes. So we swap around and see next. So what are we getting from Franz?
We have better the left side extension on your left side.
Yep.
Less flexion.
So less extension on the left hand side?
Yeah.
And better.
Extension is better, but flexion is worse.
Okay, interesting. What did it feel like? Did it feel your ass tighten up? Was it your lower back?
It's always, yeah.
Okay, I do.
Yeah, ich spüre es sogar.
That's pretty good.
But now she's
Not as much, I would say. I'm okay with that level of rotation. That's not too bad. So again,
that is less.
do it again. Do your left side again. Okay, do your right side. Okay, that looks more to me on the right hand side. More hip extension. I feel like you'd a bit, yeah.
The left side is more
Tighter?
tighter.
Do we all agree? Yeah? You're saying the same? Perfect. Okay, excellent. Very good. Fantastic. So, nice. It's good. They both look pretty similar.
If the hip is now neutral,
Yes.
and then pull the knee in, and now you turn the hip back,
Yeah.
then you get more flexion, right?
Yeah, so that's,
Where would that be? Like just
Yeah.
to stay neutral? And
try stay neutral. But again, this is the, yeah, so if you see something, a big compensation, if she curls up like this, maybe if she flares up more, you would have to use your experience. So that's the arguments against these tests, which I don't think is great because you use them as a practitioner and you build up an experience with them. Because you're not going to make all your decisions based off this. You're not writing a 16-week program off this. You're just having something where you're like, okay, that's apparent. It's not a death sentence. So you try and keep that lower back pretty neutral, but we don't want her to overcompensate because we don't want to impact the test per se.
Yeah.
Make sense? So the first thing, we have a couple of things we can do. There's different tactics to try and improve these things. So the first one we're going to do for hip extension, we can do some stretching or we can do some soft tissue work. Going to start with some soft tissue work. So what we're going to do, just lie down on the ground just like that. We're going to grab the barbell and start rolling our quads with the barbell, one leg at a time. No complaining, please.
No complaining.
No moaning.
You're having fun.
Yeah. You love this, you're coaches, you love CrossFit. And no, not the collars, not the full barbell. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So we start, okay. cut that. Okay.
People hasn't to very
1 second, 1 second. So what we do, we find a spot, start near the bottom, near your knee joint, and work up. So when you find a spot, you need to breathe, big breaths, keep breathing. Yeah, really long. Big breaths. Stay there for about 20 seconds. Then if we can contract and relax, if we can contract the muscle, that's great. And then we move up along. So about 25 seconds and move along. Don't spend too long. If you're really adventurous, roll the barbell, or you can go left to right with that barbell. So across, move it across. Whatever gets the job done. So we start with the VMO. So you can turn, you can rotate your body, whatever way to expose more of that muscle. Okay, move on to the next spot, move up a little bit, so a little bit further up. You can expose the lateral side. If you want to turn, whatever gets the job done. Just be mean to yourself, because you're being kind to yourself in the long run. It's good. I'm seeing a lot of barbells on the floor. I don't want any of the barbell on the floor. Yeah, come on. Get it, just get it, the harder it is, the sooner you'll get it done. Yeah. One leg at a time. Yeah. So you can support the barbell, hands underneath to reduce it. So as long as we can take some breaths, you're just being a bitch. It's not too hard if you can breathe. If you can breathe.
What if I can't?
I don't care.
You want to contract the muscle and you don't want to.
You can, if you're able to. Sometimes for some people it's just so intense that contracting and relaxing. So if you can't contract and relax, ease off a little bit. So we're breathing, big breaths, box breathing, in, similar, hold, hold, and the out breath. So 5 in, hold for 5, out for 5, hold the out for 5. So relaxing. It's like yoga. It's like really nice. We can just leave it there. You can just let it on that spot and keep breathing. I like doing that. I do that every day. Every day.
Oh, that's how you get legs like this.
Yes. Yeah. It's just inflammation. It should get a bit less. So if it's really sore, it's probably an issue. It gets less if we do it more frequency. It should ease off. Like it shouldn't be sore to do that. You know, that's the whole idea.
It shouldn't be.
No, it should be that sore. I want you to find the partner you trust. Okay, and we're going to do our hamstrings, and you're going to do it.
Be married to this partner?
No, you don't have to be married to them. Just whoever you trust. I hope you trust your marriage partner, but it's not necessary. So we're going to go hamstrings, just rolling their hamstrings. We're going to be gentle. Let them, if they say ease off. But you're just going to roll it really gently with the barbell, hands under the barbell, and just roll it along for them. We can put an ab mat under your knee if you feel more comfortable, and just really gently roll that up. Now I want you to push your hip forward without rocking forward. Don't rock forward just yet. Just push that hip in the kind of the socket. If you can imagine that feeling, just push it forward. Don't rock forward just yet. That's it. Now relax a second. Okay. So big breath into your nose and then rock forward. So really extending that, pushing that hip through, overextending that back, big chest. If you want to make it harder, you can lift your hands up in the air. Big hands up if you want. Really extending through. Seeing some good, some bad. So we'll do 5 rocks. Try to get a little bit further each time. So rocking forward, so we're bringing that hip forward, pushing that knee that's on the ground over our toes. That's good. How's it feel? Not too bad? Tight? Okay. So just go as far as that's comfortable, just stretch as much as comfortable. We don't want to go nervy, burning feeling. We just look for that stretch. If you can only move 0.5 millimeter forward, that's fine. If we can get really far forward, that's great. So rock forward and backwards. Try go a little bit further each time. So sitting upright, chest up, sitting up, don't lean on your leg. Also push that hip forward that we're trying to stretch. Don't keep it back. Twist it into it. Don't let it rotate away from the stretch. Don't escape it. So stay upright. So we don't need to twist our torso. We just need to push the leg we're trying to stretch. Feel a bit better? Excellent. So stay upright. Don't lean on your other leg. Stop leaning on your legs. Stay upright. No cheating. Don't lean on something. Hands off the squat rack. Yeah, no cheating. So keep rocking forward and backwards really gently. No leaning on the leg, don't lean on the leg. Hands off the leg that's up.
You have people who start to cry.
I don't care. I don't care. Whatever gets it done. So rocking forward and backwards. Okay, keep going a little bit further each time. Okay, relax, bring the leg down, relax second, relax. Change legs.
Okay. A lot of chocolate going on.
A lot of chuckling. So, hands up if you had hip extension issues. Yeah, everyone, most people, okay. So which side was the tighter side? Did you start with the tighter side or the looser side? You don't remember? Okay, so sit up. Stop leaning on your leg. Sit up. Big breath in. Don't lean on anything. It's just chest up, big chest, big chest, big chest, big chest, big chest. So, okay, now push that hip into that socket a little bit. So don't rotate, expose the hip. Now push that hip forward. Okay, squeeze the glutes and then relax. Squeezing, pushing those hips forward. Okay, so gently rocking forwards and backwards now within your comfortability. So nothing crazy, not nervy pain, not burning, just a stretching feeling. Try go a little bit further each time. You can put your hands above your head if you want to make it a little bit harder, if you want to make it harder. So forwards and backwards.
Stop! Is it normal for your glutes on the opposite side to cramp?
Possibly, yeah. So if we're looking kind of compensating, so if it's very tight, that can be a compensation. That's why we got to keep breathing. Keep breathing. Rocking forwards and backwards, a little bit further each time. Be keeping that chest up, so really extending. What I want you to do, move the ab mat away from the wall. Just stay in your spot by the wall. I want you to lie on your back, and I want you to get into a squat against the wall. So like you'd be standing up, but you're lying on your back. Okay, so toes straight ahead. Straight ahead, toes point. No, bring your feet down to the squat, but point your toes straight. Don't point your toes out. Now, I don't want you to go maximum just yet. I just want you to sit there where we are for a second. To make this harder, we bring our hips closer to the wall, so scoot your butt down. So bring it in a little bit deeper. So ideally you get touching the wall. We don't want to go wider than shoulder width, so don't go wider than shoulder width. So maximum is shoulder width. Okay, bring your heels to your butt. Now go a little bit wider. And I want you to open up your knees without using your hands, so only with your hip muscles, okay? So open up your knees as far as you can go. Toes need to stay pointing straight ahead for this. I want you to keep breathing, and I want big belly breaths. So breathing the belly all the way in, so those quad muscles really expand that lower, the stomach. Big breaths in and all the way out. How does it feel? Is it tight, loose? Excellent, good, perfect. So keep opening those knees. Okay, look for if one side is tighter, take note, try and open it up. We're just gonna sit here for a few seconds, keep doing that. That's it, keep breathing, toes straight ahead, toes straight, feet straight, feet straight, feet straight. Good stuff. Okay, bring your heels a little bit closer if you haven't, if you're not at maximum yet. Shimmy that butt down if you've scooted out. Shimmy it down, feet straight. Okay, open up those hips, knees out. So if you haven't got the shoulder width yet, move your feet out to shoulder width. If you have there, you don't need to go any further. Okay, if you want to stand up and come back over here. So shake out your legs, wiggle them out, and we're going to retest. And I want to see big differences. If you don't see a big difference, it means you weren't trying. Feel loose. Okay, back to your groups.
Francesca?
Okay. Start with hip extension first. Remember what side you had tighter. Whoa, look at that. It's much better. Nice, good. Somebody was trying, excellent. Okay, flexion. Flexion.